Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we are going to specifically talk about Andrew Yang and the ground torch future. All right, so let's talk about ground torches. What the heck is a ground torch? All right, well, to talk about a ground torch, specifically, let me define that a little further. An extinguished ground torch. We have to talk about blazing sky torches. All right, so let me define these terms. All right, so what is a blazing sky torch? Well, that comes from the Olympics, right? And we have the Olympics every 4 years. They've been around for like 100 years now. They're really important, and they were important for a long time. I think they're still somewhat important. They've lost a tremendous amount of importance, but they still point back to a very important time also, and that's the time in the where the Greeks really defined a lot of European and actually really defined a lot of world history, right? They set a lot of things in place for language. They set a lot of things in place for culture, right? And that all points back to Olympia, which is a city that was named after Mount Olympus, right? Olympia, Greece is not near Mount Olympus. It's removed by distance, right? But Mount Olympus is where the Greeks believed that Zeus and all the Greek gods lived, okay? And part of this, they had celebrations, and part of those celebrations is they would have these races, and they would take a torch, and they would set that torch ablaze, and they would lift it to the sky, and they would run with that torch, right? They would run this symbolic race, and the race symbolized life, right? And they would pass that torch off to the next person. And so when runner got exhausted, the next runner would take the torch, the blazing torch, which they would hold to the sky, and they would continue to run with it. That's a blazing sky torch, right? It's a symbol of what we do in life, the activities we do in life, and how citizens in nations who love one another and want to be kind to one another and want to build a society together, treat one another, right? In that we go about our activities, right? We're running the race, and we're carrying the blazing sky torch. We're holding the blazing torch, and we hold it up to the sky, right? And when we flag and when we get tired, there's supposed to be this graceful moment where one person realizes, I've been running this race so long, and I've put so much into this race, and I'm flagging, right? And it's time, right? And it's time for me to take this blazing sky torch and hand it to the next person, right? Right. Now, what is an extinguished ground torch, right? Well, guess what? You're about to say a lot of extinguished ground torches, and I'm going to define it for you because you best get real used to them, right? Especially if Andrew Yang does not surge forward and handle all the problems we need him to handle, right? These are dark times, man. It is more difficult every day to see the light. There are just so many obstacles arrayed in front of Andrew Yang. And the septuagenarian trinity is a huge obstacle. And one of the things that the septuagenarian trinity, 70-year-old leaders that America is saying right now in the polls, these are the people we think are best to lead this nation. They are all about extinguished ground torches, right? And I'm going to define it for you right now, because this is the future of America if Bernie Sanders gets his way, right? All right, so what's an extinguished ground torch, right? Well, guess what? Bernie Sanders is running the race, right? He's 78 years old, and he just had a heart attack, right? Now, you would think that would be a big clue to him that he's flagging, right? Like that, okay, you've been running the race a long time. It's now time to pass that torch, right? So, like, what would be a good idea, Bernie, is rather than AOC working real hard to make sure that the road is paved for you, maybe you need to step back and make sure that the road is paved for her in 2024, right? Maybe, once or twice a week at this point, Bernie Sanders should be sitting, in his office, writing his memoriam, right? And on the weekends, he flies to Washington, D.C. and meets with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and says, listen, I'm going to teach you the 30 years of wisdom that I have, and I'm going to prepare you to be the greatest president that this nation has ever seen, and I'm going to get you rock solid ready to win in 2024, right? That would make a ton of sense, right? That would be taking the blazing sky torch he holds right now and handing it off in a graceful, loving, respectful manner, right? But Bernie's speaking very loud, and everybody needs to hear him, right? Bernie's saying, no, America, no more blazing sky torches. It's all extinguished ground torches going forward. I will run until I drop this torch and it falls on the ground into a puddle, or it rolls into a dirt, into a dirt like trough on the side of the road, and it's extinguished. The next person will need to pick this torch up and light it on their own. I will never let it go. Everything going forward is extinguished ground torches. That's all there is going forward in America, right? And Bernie ain't the only one singing this song. Biden's do 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 do. Extinguish ground torches. That's all there is now. We work until we die. 77 years old. Blazing sky torch. I'll run until I drop it on the ground and it extinguishes. Warren. Do 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 do. Retirement's 4 years ago. Extinguishes ground torches. That's all there is now. Right? That is the song. That's the song. In America, they're like, they're just playing along, man. They're like, yeah, extinguished ground torches. No more blazing sky torches. No more graceful handoffs. You run until you die, and the torch falls on the ground in a puddle and is extinguished. And the next person comes, they pick it up, and they have to light it on their own, and then they have to run. There's no handoff. None. This is for the weak. Retirement is done. It's all over. You work till you die. That is what the septuagenarian Trinity stands for. That is real. That is the message. When we talk about blazing sky torches, right? This ain't new. This is millennia old, right? For millennia in society, we've been saying, hey, there's a point where you listen to what is your body is telling you, to what society is telling you. Bernie's gotten a lot of messages, right? This part told him, you're done. Settle down, slow down, right? Bernie's like, nope. Society told him 12 years ago, you're done. Here's a check. Take it. Like, start helping people who are younger. Teach them what you learned. He's like, nope, I ain't listening. I will carry this torch until I drop. And this is a big, big deal, right? Now, you think I'm going to tell you, oh, it's all over, it's all broken, right? It can't work, right? Well, that's not true. It can work. It can work, right? But here's the problem. There's a better road, right? Here's the issue. Andrew Yang can defeat Sanders, Biden, and Warren if the people of America are willing to listen to logic, and if they're willing to choose a better road, right? And that is what America is choosing right now, right? It is, are we going to take the superior path? Are we going to take the more difficult, the better, the more robust, the stronger path? Or are we going to take the easier, more comfortable, far weaker, less resilient, more fragile path? And that is what Biden, Warren, Sanders represent. They're all traditional politicians. They look like politicians. They come from that political road, right? It's very comfortable. It's very easy to see them in the role of president, right? They all look like presidents should look, right? Andrew Yang doesn't look like any president we've ever had. He's 44 years old, right? He just doesn't. He skateboards. He was a goth, right? He doesn't look like, it's not easy to see, right? And America really needs to reshape and really start to understand this. Where is the opportunity in this for Yang, right? There's a huge opportunity in the extinguished ground torch for Yang, right? And that is calling it out, right? One of the things that's happening right now is the septuagenarian Trinity, they're getting away with this. There's really so little honesty in the traditional media right now. They're not calling them out for anything, right? And I think Yang, he is very, very hesitant to go into full-on attack mode and really call out what the septuagenarian Trinity are really for. So one, their actions speak very loudly that they're against work-life balance. Every single one of them are hard rejecting work-life balance, right? They all pretend and spout words that I'm for work-life balance. No, you're not, right? Like, clearly you're not, right? You're literally telling America retirement should end and you should all work till you die. That's not work-life balance, right? It's not, right? But even more than that, where they're really going with this extinguished ground torch, right, is right at the heart of small business, right? So what I mean by this is very important. Listen carefully on this, right? All right, so basically, we talked about the extinguished ground torch, right? So what happens when the racer Bernie, right, when he falls again, right, the thing drops in a puddle, it's extinguished, right, and the next person needs to pick it up, right? Well, how does that happen? Well, you're expecting me to say, oh, it can, it's all terrible and broke. No, it actually can. We're starting to build it in our society right now. It's a much worse path, right? And Andrew Yang needs to illuminate this for people and say, this is what you're choosing. Make sure you know what you're choosing, right? We should give people the right to choose what they want, but we need to make sure they know what they're choosing, right? So what are they choosing, right? Well, they're choosing to put all the work on the back. So what Bernie, Biden, and Sanders is really for is for global, massive, national and international companies to get the best and the small business to get broken. Here's how it works, right? That's exactly how extinguished ground torches move forward, okay? And yeah, it's very, very, very much so. All right, listen to this. All right, so basically 10, 20, 30 years ago, there was a lot of this, torch passing, right? Companies would have, okay, we have this skill set. Sally, you're going to teach Penny how to do this job. You're going to spend time with her, and you're going to make all this work. And then Sally, when you get to the point where you're flagging, when there are signs in your life that maybe you shouldn't be doing this job anymore, you're going to let Penny come in and take your position, and Penny's going to have all the skills you have because you've been teaching it to Penny, and it's going to be a blazing sky torch handed from Sally to Penny, right? That is already starting to end, right? Like, and so basically, what happens is companies have moved away from this model massively, right? And the reason why is it's expensive, right? It takes a lot of time and effort and commitment, right? And the new model is, Sally, work like nuts. Penny, you better do the best job you can. And the two of you, we don't really care if you spend a lot of time passing skills off, right? And then when Sally, flags, right, and she's not there to do the job, it doesn't matter if Penny is ready, right? And you know why? Because it's small business, right? There's a bunch of schmucks down in small business that are still passing the torch, right? Still doing all that training, right? And the big dogs just come along and go, hey, we got all the money in the world. It doesn't matter if Penny knows those skills. Sally's done, right? Let's go get one of those really well-trained people who actually had a torch passed to them from the farm teams, from the small businesses. We'll just snatch them right up, hire them out. They have all the skills we need. Bring them right in. Doesn't matter what Penny knows. We don't have to do all that training, right? It's brutal on small businesses. And more small businesses are really frustrated because they bring in people, they train them up, they do all the torch passing, and their people get snatched up by larger companies all the time. It is brutal, absolutely brutal. And Bernie and Biden and Sanders, they're giving it their blessing. They're saying that's the way it is now. Bernie, Biden, and Sanders, they're Sanders, Biden, and Warren, right? They're all like, yeah, extinguished ground torches. That's the future, man. That's it, right? I don't care if the small business is ground into the dirt. Who cares, right? go global corps, go gigantic corporations. Like, yeah, like ground them down, man. Doesn't matter. Like, and so again, listen to their words. They're like, small business is important. Look at their actions. Nope, small business ain't important. Nope. Like, extinguish ground torches, that's the future. All that's my opinion. What do you think? Do you think I'm right or wrong? Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.